boy, I sure am excited for War of Immortals, the only new Pathfinder book we've gotten in months. Okay, so I might have slipped a little bit and not covered the Tian Xia Character Guide nearly as much as I should, partially because I had no idea this book existed until like a week or two after it came out, but also because I've been really busy. Monster Hunter doesn't play itself. But that being said, I have covered the Tian Xia Character Guide once on this channel already, but you might have missed it because it was last week on a live stream.
I have broken nail clippers before because my nails are too strong.
Yes, that is right. We are returning to some live streams, especially to cover any new Pathfinder content. Now, here on the channel, we are only going to be live streaming new books. You know, when a new Pathfinder book comes out, we're going to check that out. However, there are a lot more Known at One streams that you have been missing out on, namely over on twitch.tv/knownatonce. I've been going live over there 5 days a week. Right now, just playing the Monster Hunter MMO, Monster Hunter Frontier, and it has been a blast. A community has been forming in the Twitch chat. It has been amazing, and it's been a really nice escape to have Twitch be for gaming and YouTube be for Pathfinder. Now, obviously, I'm still learning the right balance between YouTube and Twitch. It's not something I'm going to learn overnight, but the Twitch has been super important to me, and it seems like people are having an amazing time. We'd love to have you over there as well. Check out this clip of last week's stream where something funny haha happened, probably.
Just me and the homies, butt naked, making pizza.
In fact, if you're watching this video right when it comes out, I'm live on Twitch right now. Literally, you can click the link at the top of the description, and I will be live, provided you're watching this video within like 3 hours of it coming out. So if you want to come hang out with me, talk about stuff, and watch me kill giant innocent monsters that probably don't deserve death, come on down. We'd love to have you, and it is a blast. If not, enjoy the rest of this video. So there's a lot in the Tian Xia Character Guide. There's a lot of ancestries, there's a lot of backgrounds, there's a lot of new stuff, but here today I'm covering one specific thing, just 2 pages of the guide for this entire video, and that's because I think that this is so incredibly powerful, it deserves its own video. And I am talking about the new hybrid study subclasses for Magus. Now, one of these 2 subclasses, in my opinion, is far stronger than the other, so to make you wait and suck that sweet, sweet watch time out of your eyes, I'm gonna start with the weaker one first, because that's how human psychology works. Yeah, that's right. I almost thought about maybe taking a psych class once. And before we get into it today, I do want to give a huge shout out to the members of the Known at One's Patreon who help support me and everything I do. Shout out to everybody there. If you would also like to pledge to the Patreon, there is a link in the description for $10 a month. You can support me and help keep the channel going and get your name along all of these generous. I can't talk today. So let's talk about the Unfurling brocade subclass of Magus, which sounds like somebody trying to bro up an arcade, which is the lamest thing I've ever heard. But no, in reality, the Unfurling brocade is a Magus that fights with magically arcane infused fabric. Alright, in editing, make this look like fabric. Before going any further, it's worth mentioning that both of these subclasses have the uncommon trait, so by default you cannot pick these at character creation without GM permission. Permission. Not persimmon. So right away, this subclass is super cool because you get to make your own weapon. You can interact with any fabric of 1 bulk or less and infuse it with your arcane magics. Or if you're going with full flavor, your chi. It recommends using a scarf, a sash, a ribbon, but really any kind of long, voluminous fabric can work. And if you ever draw that fabric as an item, you can infuse it with your chi as part of drawing it for the same action. Stat-wise, all of these fabrics are going to be considered a bladed scarf, however, their runes are inherited from your hand wraps of mighty blows. If you've got +1 striking, flaming hand wraps, then your fabric is going to be +1 striking and flaming. Just keep in mind that only runes that would apply to a bladed scarf from your hand wraps will apply. If you've got something that can only be applied to hand wraps of mighty blows, it will not apply to your fabric. Now, what's special about this bladed scarf is it actually has a unique feature where instead of using it as a 2-handed weapon like bladed scarves usually are, you can hold it in a single hand, leaving your other hand free, reducing its damage die down to a D4. That's the gist of the subclass. However, once you enter your arcane cascade, you unlock 3 new benefits for your fabric. The first one is honestly not that exciting. If you ever critically succeed to disarm a target, then the weapon does not fall in the target space, you whip your fabric and the weapon slides into your square. This is kinda cool because rules as written, when you disarm someone, you can't take the weapon from their space. So for this one, if you one action crit disarm and it slides into your space, you can just pick up and take their item, and they would need to re-disarm you to get it back. Your fabric also gains the grapple trait, and combined with the natural reach trait of the bladed scarf, you have some cool options available to you. Not only does this mean that you can grapple from 10 feet away, but if you succeed the grapple check, you wrap them up in your scarf and you can yoink them 5 feet towards you. Now, unfortunately, this movement is not a free action. It does add an extra action to your grapple, but if you do need to get the enemy away from the wizard so they don't get reactive struck, you can literally just yoink them like a freaking lasso. Lasso Magus. Ropes are fabric, right? Ropes are technically fabric. You can be a lasso Magus. I won't be going over the individual studious spells since they aren't unique to the Magus, they're just existing spells in the system, but they will be on screen so you can look into them if you need to. What I will be going over, however, is the subclass's unique Conflux spell. Home Among the Mulberry Leaves is the Conflux spell for the Unfurled Brocade, and for one action, you get to make a melee strike with your infused fabric. If you hit, it automatically immobilizes the target until the start of your next turn. No saving throw. Now, obviously, the enemy can still try to escape, like with most immobilize effects, but it is against your spell DC that they have to escape, which, honestly, for a Magus, is actually not that great. Especially for something like the Unfurled Brocade that really rewards a high athletics score, your strength is going to be higher than your intelligence. What's also cool is if you critically succeed the initial strike on Home Among the Mulberry Leaves, you can choose to inflict Clumsy One or Enfeebled One on the target as well. So if you know whether their strength or their dex is higher, if they're going to try to escape with athletics or acrobatics, you can target the specific attribute that they would be using to escape with. So if you critically strike, not only are you obviously dealing the double damage of your strike, but you're also reducing their ability to get out of the immobilization. Really cool, and like all Conflux spells, obviously recharges your spell strike. So it's already super cool that this book added totally new subclasses, but each of these subclasses also got 2 brand new feats to support them, one at level 4 and one at level 10. So let's start with the Unfurling Brocade's level 4 unique feat, Heaven Earth Encompassing Sleeves. Your sleeves become bags of holding and your clothes are harder to break. That's the whole feat. Now, the sleeves of storage are not as weak as I make them sound. In fact, they can hold up to 5 bulk of equipment without weighing you down. Granted, each individual item cannot be more than 1 bulk, but you could still hold like 2 long swords and a short sword in your sleeves. And then at level 9, they become greater sleeves of storage, which lets you store up to 20 bulk. But if you've watched my channel for a while, you know how I feel about feats that just basically give you a free magic item. Magic items, at least depending on your GM, are pretty easy to come by in PF2. In fact, most games assume if you are a certain level, you can buy any item of that level or lower. I guess you could retrain out of it if you actually buy sleeves of storage, but otherwise, this is just a feat that gives you a magic item a couple levels early, which I'm just not a big fan of from a character progression standpoint. And at level 10, you can pick up Vermilion Threads, which is kind of cool. Whenever you enter your Arcane Cascade, then as a reaction, you can emit a 15-foot burst of webbing. All of this webbing, which is obviously made from your fabric, which is just a super cool image, all of that is considered difficult terrain to everybody except you. In fact, you can step on and move around the webbing as though you had a fly speed. And remember, bursts go in all directions. That's going to be 15 foot up as well. You're basically just making a giant thing of like that playground equipment. I don't know the name of it, but it just looks like a tangled mess of like metal. It's that, except it's webbing, and you can like pull yourself through it super easily, whereas everyone else gets all stuck in junk. The webbing either lasts for 1 minute or until you leave Arcane Cascade, and if you ever cast a spell from a spell slot while your web is active, then all of the threads will glow with sort of a painful arcane energy, and any creature that moves through the webbing will take damage equal to the rank of the spell you cast at the end of their movement. This is super cool. I don't know why it's only limited to a creature taking the damage once per round. I don't know if there's some crazy infinite damage combo that I was couldn't think of here, though I'm not actually sure if it combos with your ability to grapple and pull or not. As a GM, I would allow it because that is such a cool idea of saying, hey, all the webbing, like, deals damage now, I grapple and I pull them 5 feet towards me through the webbing, dealing the webbing's damage. It specifically says when a creature moves, but it doesn't talk about forced movement, so I would allow that as a GM. Curious to hear what you think. They also get a basic reflex save, so it's not like it's going to be automatic damage every single time, plus the action economy to make this happen would be tough. So overall, in my opinion, a very flavorful subclass of Magus, though not the strongest in the world, in my opinion. No, if you want to talk about what could be one of the strongest subclass of Magus, you've got to look no further than the next one. Aloof Firmament is a brand new option for the one-handed dexterity-based Magus. This used to basically force you to play Laughing Shadow if you wanted to be a melee dex-based Magus. Now you have another option, and this option is absolutely insane. This entire subclass works around having a one-handed weapon in one hand and absolutely nothing in your offhand. Not a shield, not even an item with the free hand trait will work with this. You need a completely empty hand. As long as you have that empty hand, you have Catfall. And once you enter Arcane Cascade is where this subclass pops off. As long as you are in Arcane Cascade, anytime you fly, leap, high jump, or long jump, you do not trigger reactive strikes. So as long as you jump away from the target, they can't hit you with a reactive strike if they have one. And this subclass comes with another bonus. As long as you're in Arcane Cascade, the bonus damage you get to all of your strikes increases by an additional 2, increasing to 4 bonus damage on all strikes as long as you are in Arcane Cascade, increasing to 6 bonus damage with weapon specialization and 8 bonus damage with greater weapon specialization. So you're sacrificing the larger hit die of something like a great axe to just use, a longsword or maybe a rapier or a scimitar, but in exchange you are getting so much flat damage that your damage consistency is going to be on par with something like a thaumaturge, even if you're not spell striking. This is really rare for the Magus to get some kind of consistent damage output even without their spell strike, already leading to this being an amazing subclass. Oh, and before we move on, the subclass does one more quick little thing. It's not that important. As long as you're in Arcane Cascade, you have the quick jump skill feat benefits, even if you don't have the skill feat, which means long jumps and high jumps are now a single action and don't penalize you for not running first. What this means is you now have so many ways to escape a bad situation without provoking reactive strikes. If you've got a 25-foot move speed, you can already leap 10 feet. That's twice as far as a step action. If you've got a movement speed of 30 feet, you can leap 15. Or you can just long jump, where the DC of your jump is just how far you're trying to go. If you've got expert in athletics and you've got whatever, a plus 15, then you can just automatically assume you can make a 20-foot long jump, if not more. So the subclass already has incredible mobility and battlefield security without triggering reactive strikes, as well as damage consistency from the Arcane Cascade bonus. Well, what if I told you that thanks to their focus spell, Sky Laughs at Waves, they also have air control? For one action and a focus point, you can fly up to your speed in any direction, just including straight up, and make a melee strike. If you have no way to continue flying afterwards, you fall back down. But remember, you have Catfall. You're not going to take any falling damage. So if you've got a 25-foot movement speed, and there's a harpy 20 feet above you, you can just zoop, bonk, zoop, all good. So this is already such an amazing toolkit for a Magus to have. Is it hitting for 500 damage? No, it's not. But it's so safe and mobile and amazing on the battlefield. And what if I told you their level 4 feat made them even more mobile? Level 4, Distant Waterbirds Poise. As a reaction, which Magi almost never get reactions in their kit, when you hit a target with your spell strike, you can immediately leap, high jump, or long jump, all without triggering reactive strikes. And this one specifies that these movements don't trigger reactive strikes, period. So even if you're not in Arcane Cascade yet, you can still escape without triggering reactions. So what this means is you can spell strike, reaction, distant waterbird's poise, put 10 feet between you and the target, enter Arcane Cascade, and now you're basically immune to reactions turn one of the combat. And you're not even stuck in melee. This gives room for like the champion or the fighter or the barbarian to step in front of you. This is such an incredible subclass for Magus because it eliminates one of the biggest problems with the Magus, which is how squishy they are. Usually you step into the front line, you get your spell strike off. If the enemy lives, they're gonna look at you and step on you. But with Aloof Firmament, you can get in, spell strike, leave, get in, spell strike, leave, over and over and over again. Or if you're not gonna spell strike, you can step in, use just a normal attack, and still have an action. I'm not even in frame, I'm so excited. And because you have quick jump, then you can just long jump right away again without triggering reactions. This subclass is just the ultimate reactive strike avoider. And obviously all of this excitement goes down the drain if you aren't fighting things with reactive strikes. I will say that a lot of my excitement comes from mid to higher level play when reactive strikes get a lot more common. Levels 1 through 5, reactive strikes actually don't exist that much in PF2. It's a very new player friendly experience and they don't punish people for moving around too much. But once you get to higher levels, especially look up chimeras, oh my gods. Reactive strikes can become a real problem if the GM uses them correctly. And at level 10, we don't even have that bad of a feat. It's not mind-blowingly amazing, but it's still pretty cool, especially from a flavor perspective. Unsheathing the Sword Light. Sword Light? Sword Light. For 2 actions, use Spell Strike, which is the normal amount of actions you take to Spell Strike anyway, so this just makes your Spell Strike permanently better. For 2 actions, use Spell Strike, and if you hit the target, then 10,000 sword copies of your sword made of pure raw arcane energy fall from the sky and pierce the ground, dealing damage equal to double the spell's rank, which is not bad. Unfortunately, it deals this damage to everybody in the area except you and your initial target. It's a 10-foot wide emanation, so it's not a small area, but it feels really bad that this doesn't hurt your primary target more. Additionally, if there are any allies around, you don't want to use this out of fear of hurting them. It's pretty situational. You know, if you go first in combat and you can get in there with like 3 or 4 enemies all near you and you're level 10, you drop a 5th rank spell, you're hitting the target for 5th rank spell damage and then everybody else around you for 10 damage. That's huge. It's not even a saving throw. This is just guaranteed damage to all targets except your initial target. So this is a cool ability. It is just a direct optional upgrade to your spell strike since it doesn't cost any other resources. It's the same number of actions. It uses your spell strike just normally. So it's great when the opportunity comes up, but I feel like that opportunity might be a little too uncommon. Either there's not going to be enough enemies directly next to you, or there's going to be too many allies directly next to you. I guess you can use one action to move and then unsheath the sword light, but it is a little bit tough to use this in a way that does not harm your allies. However, I will say it does work well in that the positioning is very difficult, but this subclass is one of the best at positioning themselves in the entire game. So make the decision of yourself. I think this is a complex subclass to play really, really well, but there are a lot of opportunities to do some really cool shenanigans and just bounce around the battlefield like a quick little bumblebee. But there we go, those are the 2 brand new Magus subclasses that came in the Tian Xia Character Guide. There are also some new inventor feats. Those sure do exist. But there we go, the Tian Xia Character Guide is an amazing book, and if you're interested in everything else it has to offer, from the ancestries to the backgrounds to all the new stuff, I highly recommend checking it out. I'll leave a link in the description to it. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, if you want more of me and live and to like talk to me and like have a conversation and junk, consider, okay, that is the last stutter I'm leaving in for comedic effect. Consider clicking the link in the description to check me out on Twitch. Like I said, if you just watched this video right when it came out, I am live at the moment for at least 2 to 4 hours. I would love to see you there. If not, I stream every single Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, most of the time at 6 p.m. Pacific time. I'd love to see you there. That's all from me. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And until next time, no nat ones. Wonder what my backdrop will look like next week.